Okay guys, we're going over class 27 from the beginner Jiu-Jitsu program, the fundamentals, and with this we're going to do for a warm-up today kind of an overview of striking techniques, and we'll cover some information, some new concepts. You know, I was telling Micah right before this that, you know, people that do this class, sometimes somebody like him, they might come to Muay Thai or kickboxing, or, you know, we even have a boxing club. But there's a whole bunch of people in the world that do jiu-jitsu and they are not going to come to those classes, right? Now, if those people get in a street fight or attacked, you know, whatever the context is, they may use some strikes, right? And I think a lot of people, we live most of our lives before jiu-jitsu. I just throw, you know, I could throw a punch and it would be normal. And we have to override that through the training, right? But then too, just having some strategy on, I don't want somebody that doesn't do a lot of striking to throw a strike and break their hand. That's common, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over some different strikes: palm heels, hammer fist, elbows, knees, front, and side kicks. These are different techniques striking wise we cover throughout the whole program, but today we're gonna kind of use this as the warm-up. So I'm gonna get Micah here working on strikes, and we'll kind of go over some details on each individual strike real quick. So face me, we're going to start off with palm heels, okay? So the idea on the palm heel is I'm trying to get right here, nose, jaw, right? If I make your jaw go inward, right? Let's say I was down and I came up with it, that'll obscure your vision. I can go in for a clinch at that point. So, but here, I'm not going to break my hand. So what I want you to do is just kind of, like we do the boxing drill, salt and pepper, which is this jab, cross. I want you to do that with palm heels. You can do a 1-2, or just keep it constant, right? And we're here with our hands, okay? Palm heel strikes, let's see it. Good, yeah, those elbows are coming back into your body, nice. Good, yeah. Turn that back knee with that right one if you want a little bit. Yes, go. Nice. Nice. Okay. So now, hammer fist. So a hammer fist, I could hit you here in the side of the jaw, like you got nerve centers there. It's the same nerve centers if I press your jaw inward that are getting irritated, right? So I want to think about smashing right there on the jaw on either side. You could also be a temple shot. Hey, you know what? It sucks to get hit in the neck too. There's an artery there. So what I want you to think about is like that, right? So we're hammer fist. So it's kind of it's an inward, but also a downward angle. Kind of a 45-ish, right? So here. So hammer fist, and kind of come back to base every time. Go. Yeah, kind of the front side of the bag. The front, yeah, front more. So I think about these portions. All right, so if this is their, let's say that is the bridge of their nose starting, right? So their chin's gonna be here. So like, we're talking about hitting this jawline or maybe the temple. So target like right where the bag contour is there, okay? Better. Yes. Come on. See how I'm almost getting straight? How long my arm gets. Yes. Freeze. Good. Okay. Now, this is an aside, right? Like Mike and I got to train with Dan and O-soto recently, right? And some of the things we were doing, stick fighting, okay? And that is just like a forehand, right? Forehand on the sticks. So some of those same patterns, and you'll see that same guy, Dan O-soto's a Bruce Lee student, go something like forehand, backhand, hook, cross, hook, and add that into striking, because assuming that he has a stick or something. All right, we're gonna go over a club defense later in the same class. So it's definitely something that comes up, and a couple of recent seminars we've gone to had a major component of stick fighting as a part of the clinic, okay? So now, snap elbows, horizontal elbows. Okay, these are coming on a horizontal plane and are going side. I want you to think about coming under your own arm a little bit, and then keeping our hands relaxed and open, okay? That's gonna really emphasize that our bone, we want it for the striking surface, doesn't get covered with muscle. Put 2 fingers right here. Make a fist. All right, that will bruise, okay? So that's something I want you to really focus on, is just keeping the hands open and pop, 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 pop. Horizontal elbows. Good. Hands are open under your arm. Nice. Good. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to do 4 of each. All right, so you go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see that. Good, nice, okay. Now let's go into strikes with our legs. We've got front kicks, side kicks, and knees. Okay? Now look, front kick could be either leg, right? So I can intercept, and we do that to the body, all right? The side kick, get in a base please, we do to the leg, right? And we've seen that in here, pulled your hand out like that, is like that. Here, it could be like this, and I turn sideways, right? So we got front kicks to the body, here. What we want to try and avoid is stepping back. We might step back into base, but not before. You don't want to step back and then kick. A lot of times that's a dead giveaway. If somebody is still and seeing what we're doing, they have a sight picture of us, we don't want to give them that tell. So look, just boom, 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 boom. So like a bad habit for a lot of people is they'll go boom, or they'll go boom. We want to just pick up boom, boom, boom. The side kick. Boom. I want to get sideways. So look how I'm front, side. And I come down, remember we can clinch on it. We can front kick, and if they slide back, we can clinch. So that's the context of how we've seen that used in the class a lot, right? But front kick, side kick, and then just stepping up here, right? And grabbing here. It's like the shoulders when we're doing the tackle defense, right? Or maybe we have a guillotine, a standing guillotine set up. We're gonna do our knee strikes. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so do this. Front kick either leg. Do the side kick with your front leg. And then do the knees just alternating, okay? Let's do that same method. Do 4 front kicks to each side. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, now side kicks. Get sideways. Or then we'll work downward with it. Downward? So like side kick, we're not side kicking to the body. We're side kicking to the leg. Right? So kind of think about that. Oh, yes. Good. Knee up, and then downward with it. Yes, good. Okay, and then knees. Good. Now, just at no set number, I'm gonna call them out, and I just want you to kind of go through them. So we're gonna go with palm heel strikes, hammer fist, elbows, front kicks, side kicks, knee. Okay, start off hammer fist, palm heels, knees, elbows, hands open. Good. Step back side kicks. Good. Front kicks. The body, yes. Time, nice. Good job, okay? So let's just remember, guys, just because you train jiu-jitsu, I heard Robert Drysdale say this, he's a legend in the sport. He's also competed a little bit in MMA. I've met him a few times. He's written some books over the history of jiu-jitsu. He's like, pretty notable guy. He teaches his jiu-jitsu guys the basics of striking. He actually shows them jabs and crosses, which, for my thesis, I'm like, hey, come see me for a boxing class or kickboxing or Muay Thai for that, and we'll really go over punching with the fist. But even my sometimes trained fighters will shank a punch, and they're always focused on it, right? And damage their hand, their thumb. So these strikes that we're going over in this class, low propensity to injure yourself. What we want to be sure is if we front kick the body, we don't accidentally get a toe up in an elbow. That is not cool. And I've had to pull somebody's toe back into place when that was applied in that way one time, okay? So think about some of that for the strikes. It's a good warm up today. And, slapping, palm heel striking, hammer fisting, elbows, that's just such a low injury risk. So think about those strikes. And if you know a little bit about punching, cool, use that as well, all right? We'll be back with going over some of the striking techniques for defense after this. Okay, so we're gonna be going over some self-defense techniques, and we're gonna be returning with strikes, right? So a lot of times we're striking maybe, but we're really trying to get a clinch. Like that's the main focus a lot of times that we're working on in this class, right? But we do see some strikes. So we're just gonna kind of review some different strikes, a new entry for some elbow strikes we haven't seen previously in the program. But we'll review a couple other elbow strikes that we've done in a few different classes, okay? We use elbow strikes right before we go to clinch, right? So it's a mainstay. And then we'll also see for the first time in the program, a headbutt, okay? And this is all gonna be me defending against pushes, grabs, and strikes, or face touches, we like to say, right? If somebody can touch your face, I bet they can punch you, right? So they may be grabbing at your throat, you're trying to push your chest, etc. So we're gonna work on some ways to connect some dots and make a bigger picture with some of these elbows, and then introduce a couple of new concepts. Okay, let's review the main concepts we work on, okay? So what I want you to do is your hands are here, making a triangle right around your nose and mouth, right? Chris Howder, he says, form a triangle around your snot box, right? Pretty descriptive. It definitely give you something to remember. Okay, so if I'm, and in your hands, I keep them open, but if they were closed, look how your knuckles are about at your eye line, right? So, and then boom, right there, and then just keep you. So if I start trying to come in and touch your face, you deflect here. And when we deflect, we want to put a little weight on it, all right? Deflect, that's a horizontal elbow, good. Deflect, elbow, deflect, elbow. We also see the cover block, okay? So cover block on this side, and we upward elbow when we do that, okay? Cover block, upward elbow, cover, upward elbow, deflect, horizontal elbow, deflect, deflect, horizontal elbow, cover, upward elbow, cover, up, deflect, horizontal. That's it, okay? We've seen that several classes, okay? What we're working on now, though, is the same idea, but let's imagine it's not against somebody going for our face, which is what we've done every other class. It's somebody going to push us. We see push defenses in here. We see defenses to things like this, right? But people don't always grab you and pull you in. Sometimes it's something like that, right? So we want to be able to defend against the common sort of untrained ways people approach things, okay? So go ahead and push me here, boom. That's kind of preempting. Now start pushing me and driving me back, boom, bah, right? And then look how I can hook into that head there for a knee after that elbow, right? We see the same thing where we go in for the guillotine, right? And we can knee there before we finish. So knees and elbows, they're close. They go together. They're right in with that, I'm about to clinch you and take you down, or standing submission, okay? So what I want you to do is to push that off with your body, turn, and hit, boom, nice. Okay, so and then kind of just for the purpose, just let me push you a couple of times. You can have your hands up. Now start to finish. Yes, boom, right there. You know, like that. Yeah, good. Come here. Good, see? That's all right. Preemptive. I might get you one. You know, bullies, people that push you never push you once. You know what I'm saying? Unless you fall down and hit your head and it's over, right? So, here. Yeah, oh, dude, you almost killed me, right? So that's it. Like, I'm like lunging forward. That was, I got you once, I want to do it again, right? And look, let's say, hands are up. Let's say we do this against push defense, right? But do the turn, right? Yes. See that same thing? It lunges me off balance. So this is just, anytime I'm here, push, deflect. Push, nice. It just gets it off your chest. So it's a push it over, and it's against my push. So it's another single hand push defense. Like last class, we saw single hand collar grab defense. Okay, and we saw two hand, just like we see two hand push defense. Go ahead and do that real quick. Raise your elbows up. Yes, have nothing. So that's some basics, and so great because we're returning with elbow strikes, right? We always want to be working on those. That's like some of the hardest, most potential to be the most damaging weapons in terms of strikes because of the bone, right? So last thing, we haven't seen this headbutt, okay? So what I'm gonna be looking at here is, give me like a haymaker strike, and I'm hooking over it. I'm hooking the back of his tricep here. Give me another one. Here, right? Now, what I wanna do is I'm gonna step back into base, and I'm gonna headbutt coming up, right? This could be a shoulder strike as well, coming up into, sorry, you bit your tongue, right? But with this, I wanna drop down a little bit, okay? Here's what'll happen. Let's say I was gonna headbutt him like this. I'm holding his ears right now. He's like, what are you doing, right? Well, I'm thinking I'm gonna break your nose with my face, right? Like I'm just gonna, this is gonna break that, okay? But you know what's right beneath that? A mouthful of teeth, right? And sometimes people that have seen the headbutt in Walker, Texas Ranger / Chuck Norris movies, whatever, they think it's like it's like the haymaker. It's like, I would just do this and the bodies would hit the floor, right? You might hit the floor with a mouth full of his teeth buried in your head, right? How do I know about this? Right? Because I've seen pictures of it and heard stories of it happening, right? The whole time I've been doing this and passing that on. So don't make that mistake. If I come upward, the propensity for that to happen is very minimal. Okay, give me a haymaker. Another one. Here. Boom. It could even be an elbow strike, or a shoulder strike rather, coming up. Okay, so here, look how I'm dropped down in my base, and I strike coming up. If I'm off to the side a little bit, I'm targeting that jawline, okay? So drop down after you deflect, okay? So catch the first overhand right there, and hook over, yes. And then the second one, and then, good, boom. Okay, so when we do this, here, give me a haymakers again. Here, okay? When I drop down, see I'm kind of adding some weight onto that, right? Go again. Block. This is so similar to the push defense too. Now once you strike, start raising your elbow and take my back. And as we've seen in other classes, I'll start going for like a head at that instance as well, okay? Let's see this again. Block, drop, headbutt, nice. Okay, and then two, maybe after that headbutt, you wanna get to the side clinch, go for a leg hook takedown or a hip throw, or you take the back. But it's just like what we've seen in all the other classes. I'm adding that strike to soften you up, to disorient you, to damage you. And then that's part of my entry to get to the side. Sometimes we see entries where I'm right there, right? Watch here. Okay, so it's a great precursor to clinching. But here's the thing, we gotta know both. We gotta know the clinches, we study those by themselves. We gotta know the strikes, we gotta be able to put them together. And these are the basics. This is just self-defense. I'm not teaching the most complex boxing combinations or anything like that. It's just the sort of the meat and potatoes, if you will, which sounds tasty. All right, okay. So that's some self-defense against strikes and returning also with strikes. So sort of an offensive, defensive perspective there. And remember, get your clinch after that strike is effective. Okay guys, so we're gonna be doing a review of the outside leg throw. Okay, this is one of the core throws in Kodokan Judo, right? So which tells you, you know, that art was preserved from a bunch of older Japanese Jiu-Jitsu styles, right? Right when sort of modernization was beginning to happen in Japan, 1880s. So we're gonna look at that throw. It's definitely a throw that through the cultural interactions between Japan and Brazil, made it over to Brazil. It's in all of the early texts we see published in the West, in the earliest like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu self-defense curriculums, we see this throw, okay? So what I'm saying here is this throw is a part of what we do. It's a part of the art, okay? So in Judo, it's called O-soto. And there's different things we could do with our leg. Pretty much in here, we always see just putting our leg back there and they fall over it because they're already off balance. Sometimes when we're using both legs, we'll have one leg and we'll trip the other one. Anytime it's both, you might hear me use the term guruma. That means wheel. So O-soto Otoshi, when I'm just putting my leg there and pushing you over, that's the main mode that we go over. In O-soto guruma, sometimes I take out both your legs because I caught a kick or something like that. Okay, so we're just gonna go over a couple of new ones that are part of like this is block of classes we're doing, but I'm gonna take this time also to review what we've seen with O-sotos in previous classes, okay? So, think about this, right? I'm gonna grab you and start pulling you backwards, right? And with this one, you wanna hook your leg, right? So the finish hook, there, yes, base, right? Kind of drop down a little bit. So I'm trying to pull you backwards, step and hook my leg there, right? So like, yeah, just step, no. Right. Okay, so, yes, nice. Now, as you lean your weight, step around. Yes. Oh. Nice. Okay, so that's what we saw with our last set of back defenses. If I'm pulling you back like this, here, yes, boom. That's it. Okay, now hit it again in real time. Here. Boom. Good. And it's okay to be a little off balance there. Yeah. Because I'm pulling you, I'm not giving you a side, I'm pulling you backwards, right? Let's do it again. Oh, nice. If you're gonna, remember if you're gonna fall on them. Yeah. Right? Except if it's me. Right. I'm just kidding. But that, you know, that's something that I've had conversation with several judo players about. It's like, you know, they didn't fall on people in training a lot, but in the competition, it was no problem for them. An interesting thing to think about, okay? So that's against a choke. We're being pulled back, okay? That's one of the mainstays of this, this technique, okay? So let's take a look at some other options on this technique. We saw a couple of instances where we were doing it defending against strikes, okay? So go ahead and just, that front kick to my body real quick. Boom, good. Go ahead and do that again. Boom. Okay, so we talked about catching before. What we can also do is here. All right, once I'm here, I come in, and there's the two-leg version. All right, so go ahead. It kicks, boom, right there. That's off the catch. I can also make it go to the side. Okay, go ahead again. Boom, like you. All right. We can definitely go to a knee on belly if we're landing this though. Okay. Another instance is if he's coming with the overhand strike. I'm blocking, right? Here I can strike, I can do different things, but as I enter the clinch, what I want to do is get heavy on this side. I'll also do this off of a cover block. Give me a hook here, boom, right, like here. And if I make weight on this leg, I can step through and easily get the throw, okay? So whether it's a big overhand, right, or whether it's a hook, what I'm trying to do, give me that overhand again. I'm blocking, and then I'm coming in and I'm leaning this weight. So look how much weight I've got on his leg. So when I step past, there's my throw, right? And look, arms exposed, body's exposed for a knee on belly. I'm right here on his hip and ready to get heavy with my knee, okay? So we got off the kick and we got off the punch that we could defend the strike, okay? Now, let's look at another over-under option we teach. Okay, so I'm here. With this hand that is under his arm, I want my palm open like this with my fingers up. I don't want to drive straight to the camera like this, right? What I want to do is go to the corner. And I'm putting my hand like this so he doesn't wrench an arm here with an Americana on this side. He could just go over real tight and it wouldn't feel good if my hand was right here. He could wrench it. This will buy you some time. Also, I can drive and that makes his leg light. And I step past and there is my outside leg throw again. There's a lot of times when we do this, we'll show it again. You simply step past him and you barely even do anything with your leg. Sometimes it's only your hip. So again, it's not straight back where my finger's pointing, it's this way on the corner. Here. So think about how some of these have different angles, right? But a lot of times, like I'm driving to a corner or on a V-shaped line, right? So that is another just sort of option from the over-under clinch. Another one we've seen from the over-under clinch here is I come with this hand that's under here, right? I feel like I can't drive him, like he's leaning into me, he's got a good base. I can't move him, he's bigger than me, whatever, right? So come in here and bow, right? Once I start bowing, you see his leg bending, okay? That bow can be the entry for my throw. And watch what happens. Don't let me throw you with just the bow, but so like don't let me drive into you this way to pick your leg up, right? So I'm gonna bow. See how you went around like that? That's what's gonna happen. Sometimes people try and take your back, you just say an audience, right? You just throw them over your shoulder when they do that. So A, don't do that. It's not smart, right? It's a bait. People will go for this. Now, if they get the choke set, saying Agi is not the best idea. So be cautious. You've got to react. And that's, again, just that overhead throw. But when I come across here and I bow, that's when I step in for the leg throw, okay? So we saw getting to over-under off a hook or haymaker defense. We saw from over-under driving to the corner, picking up a leg. When I drive the corner, it makes the leg light. Pick up the single, step through, right? Or if I can't drive, I'll switch to this 2-on-1. Or in judo, a lot of times they call it a pon grip, I-P-P-O-N. That means one arm under their arm, one arm over, right? So that throw I just mentioned, Seoinage, is commonly done with this grip. So I've already loaded for that. So he may feel if he goes to the back, I'll throw it, right? So, but here, I bow, that puts the weight on that leg. And right as he was starting to move and rotate, that's when I took that leg away, okay? So it's the outside leg throw. Let's look at a couple more we've seen recently. The single lapel grab, pull me in, palm up. Okay, so when this happens, look, what I want to do is grab and pull and base, right? So once this happens, I start bowing again. Once this also occurs, look how you are in a good spot for the arm bar. Also walking around his head, turn down your belly. Yeah. If you like resting people, right? Or just a nice little wrist lock here. Hey, we were talking about this before we started filming, when you get beat up, right? Like, I didn't sign up for that part. There's always one part of the class that you didn't, all right? Anyway, but that's that single collar grab here, boom. This is blocking against potential strikes. This is bowing, right? And that gets that leg. So all I've got to do is step through. So I've got knee on belly or arm lock here, or I can rotate to the side and I just walk around him and turn his belly down by his little hand wrist here. Okay, so another really good option. Now sometimes it's this, right? So pull me in. This is a 2-on-1 grip as well, like our opponent grip. It gave us 2 arms on one of his. So I'm gonna try and collapse his grip and I can strike. But here, what if he doesn't let go? I turn and lean in my weight. Because I'm leaning my weight, that's pushing weight off it. You see that leg's not heavy. So I want to take away the leg that's heavy. You can use here your leg to break his grip, right? And just kind of any sort of like the sort of stress test on that is I break it, boom, grab harder. I couldn't break it. I wedge, I break it. He's grabbing really, really hard and he's super big. I wedge and I step through. Okay? So that's against the single and double hand collar grabs, right? And then our last couple, right? They're gonna be the newer ones. The first one, oh so simple, right? When do you go for an O-soto or an outside leg throw? What's a good time, other than the ones we can't do, any of the ones we talked about?
When they're pulling you.
Boom, double high five. Exactly. I just recently taught this at a seminar, right? Because it's one of the most fundamental ideas ever. And he said, oh, you just pull me, and then, because you're pulling me, I'll go that way. So think about this. The last 2 that we just showed are off of a pull. So when I do that, step in. Yes, yeah, good. Pull me. Pull. Okay, just straight to the throw, just like you're walking through me. Okay? Nice. Nice, good. Way to get that knee contact. Okay, it'll work on both lapels too. Just wait, it's all about the timing, you know this. But like, we probably only done it in class you've been to like this. That's how I teach it a lot. But, we're starting off and people want to grab a grip. So when they do, they usually pull it, right? Even if they're just trying to do something like switch collar, right? So if I pull, he comes forward. And we see that in like a grappling perspective like that. But here, I'm pulling you forward, you come in. I'm pulling you forward, you come in. Yeah. Well, that's a big one. I shouldn't have pulled you both hands like that. Right? There's a, boom, I was lifting myself up before it was over. So that's the idea. Before we do, so we did cover this in a previous class, but it's another timing throw. It's the when somebody throws you, right? So we'll do this and then we'll do a weapon defense. But when somebody throws, is coming in to throw you, okay? So, right, come in to step into O-soto. Right, look how my head's off balance. Let's turn this way. Right, so just take my balance without throwing me. See that? He's making my head go this way. So let's go back to the middle. We're both 50-50. This is a throw people call 50-50 throw sometimes because we both have the same thing right now. Now my head's in the middle, his head's in the middle. If he takes his head over this leg, he'll throw me. But if I take my head over this leg, I'll throw him, okay? So we typically do this with eyes closed, okay? So I'll go. You come in and throw me, we'll just do this side so we can get it for the camera.
What do you want?
You just come in and O-soto me. Look where my head's at. Over here, not in the middle. But this is one of our coaches teaching a seminar, Kyle, and he's talking about this for leg lock perspective, right? Like if your heel gets exposed like that, they can do a leg lock and throw a bottom, right? So keeping your head in the middle or over the leg is part of the game, right? So we see that in other techniques as well. But the idea is if I come in for O-soto on you, I'm gonna try and throw you back over this way. So I want you to, as I'm coming in, lean your weight over this hip. Good. You can see you added a little leg action to it, which is fine. Watch here. That's Vari. O-soto Vari. This is O-soto Post, where I slide down your leg, like I'm throttling a motorcycle, starting an engine. Okay? Now, so it's really just like if I'm coming in for O-soto and you feel it, you lean first, and that's O-soto Geishi. Okay? We saw also 2 legs, O-soto Garuma. Okay, so that's some nuances there. We'll say one other thing before we do the club defense. Back on this grip. Sometimes a person's way bigger than you. We're gonna see this same grip also when they have a weapon. It's a good idea, kind of 2-on-1, the arm that has the weapon, and why I kind of focus on this at the end. So Micah, I'm gonna try and bow here. Yeah, see that would be my throw. I want you to like lean that way when I try and bow. Now you could throw me all the weights on my leg, right? So what we do about that, I pull you to the back corner, sometimes sideways here, right? So that's a little idea. And we'll apply that here with our stick. Okay, here you go. Now, we're gonna we call this an angle 1. It's a downward strike with the club to the temple, to the jaw, to the chin, to the nose. Oh, that sounds terrible, all right? So when this is happening, I am in range sort of for this to occur, but I can't really hit him with anything. So this is a longer range weapon, so I'm gonna have to close some distance. So if you see someone is striking at you, you notice almost always in this class, we step back into base. With this weapon defense, we're gonna close distance. So I see him go to rear over his head, right here, right? Now, once I come in, I can come in and throw like a palm strike to the face, right? Here, bow, right? Circle, pull, and we get that, okay? So, as he comes here, we step into base. Look how I'm hooking over the back of his tricep, okay? So that's if he tries to pull back with it, that's when I come in here, okay? I'm bowing, let's say he's bigger, stronger, going the other way, I start stepping, boom, okay? And we talk about pushing the face on the knee on belly, right? Boom. And clear that, strip that grip. So that's just kind of the idea of O-soto against a club defense. All right, now you do one of these. Block it and wedge over my tricep. If I try and retract, okay, you're gonna close distance. You're gonna let me pull you in, right? Go 2-on-1 under the arm, bow. If you can't pull me, I'm bigger than you. I weigh you probably 40 pounds. Go sideways. Yes. Under both. Yes. Yeah. Good. No, well, here's the thing. I was super off balance. You're dragging me sideways. It was not a super pleasurable experience for me. Right? So here, let's do it's disorienting. Right? Like that's not, I mean, even though we're just drilling, that's not how I would envision that going. If I would have, stick fighting, maybe just did a seminar, about to hit this dude in the face. Yeah, right? And then you're pulling me off balance. Good. Nice. Good. Okay, so look. Defense against weapons. A lot of Jiu-Jitsu people that just do sport will have remarks about what we're doing in here. I see it, right? Like a good friend of mine is like, if I see knives, no. Like, and he's not talking about like, oh, I'm running away. I mean, he is kind of talking about that, but it's like, basically like, why train that? But the adage is this: better to have a defense against a club and not need one than like, okay, I need one and I don't have one, right? So it's kind of an analogy of bear spray, right? There's bears in the woods. You take bear spray with you just in case. Well, what if there are no bears? No harm, no foul. You're still safe, right? So that's a great way I think about weapons techniques, right? And club defense. I mean, people carry baseball bats and clubs around in their car, right? So it's something to consider. When somebody's trying to hit me with a club like that, we're intercepting when we come in, right? Sometimes I see him go to rear back and I close distance and clinch them. We see that with our ball and chain drill with the belt, right? So that's that, guys. We got some knee on belly escapes we'll be showing next, and that'll be it for today's class. Okay, guys, we're gonna be going over some escapes to knee on belly primarily. We're gonna look at it as sort of a way to prevent it more than anything. So two of the things we're gonna cover are gonna be prevention. But then somebody is gonna get you there someday and you're gonna need this other one we're gonna show. We call it the hip shovel. The first 3 mainstays we're getting into today are all hip escapes, right? And then we saw in a previous class, north-south Kimura, right? And somebody pushes us off of knee on belly or fights back against our gift wrap, we can go to north-south Kimura. We're gonna show an escape to that technique today, okay? And it is a real fundamental escape, very simple, and it's the same exact movement with our body that we're gonna do on the knee on belly escape. So we see a submission escape and a knee on belly escape, which are the same body movement, right? Again, it's a forward hip escape or a hip shovel. Right? We call it hip shovel, but it's forward hip escape. So pretty much all of our techniques today, in one way or another, kind of hip escape oriented. One of them will have some UPA components to it, okay? So here's what I want to think about. So people get you a knee on belly 2 ways. They pop up from like side control, right? Let's say they're moving forward with this idea. They got you in side control, they go to knee on belly and getting those points. If it's a tournament or they're just trying to get control to maybe hit or grind out some energy out of your body, or they maybe passed your guard from standing or through you or something like that. And then bam, now they're kind of like coming into knee on belly from up over the top of you, okay? So how do we prevent someone from getting us in knee on belly as it's happening, right, in those contexts? So what we'll do here, Micah, is you are going to just come up on one knee. Like, I want you to just kind of think about, dropping that knee down on me, okay? So when he does this, I'm gonna use my inside elbow to clear, okay? So he puts this knee here like that, okay? So once I'm here, it's just guard recovery. Like, look at all his space. He doesn't have me in side mount anymore, doesn't have me in knee on belly. So here's like a place where people will pop up and put you in knee on belly, and while we show to dig this arm out before that happens. If he's popping up from side mount or something, I'm gonna put my knee in there. We saw last class, put your knee back on my belly, just normal. If I push this knee at all, I'm giving him this arm for an arm bar or a north-south Kimura. I don't want that. So, but here, I'm defending it with that inside elbow, okay? So, pop up to standing. All right, let's say he just threw me and he's going to pop down inside elbow, right? And then I'm turning down, okay? So, lay down real quick. So think about this, like, this is how I drill this with students, partners. I'm gonna just put this knee down on you, okay? So as it's coming down, pull that inside and then turn into me. All right, that's all right. Yeah, never found it. So guys, one of the main responses when you start doing a good job on bottom is you'll make them put their knee on the mat. Turn this way so we can see that. Here, okay? So just go for it. And then, you turn away slightly, just don't give your back. coming down. Maybe put my knee on the mat. If my knee's on the mat, look how he can come up to single legs or anything. Start getting his guard back if he just wants to stay safe, right? But again, once you start doing a good job with this, windows will open, okay? Let's say I'm popping up here. Yeah, good. I just passed your guard. Oh. Yes, see, you're never giving it to me. You understand that it's a prevention. It's not something I want to lean on after they've already got it established. That's a little later phase idea, right? And we're doing that in the same class. So that's hip escape. Here's another one. You kind of already are doing this. Bring your knee to your elbow. How am I going to put your knee on belly now? I'm doing it and you already have the prevention in place. So that's kind of the next idea is, you know, if I did throw you or something and you can get here, how am I gonna, I'm gonna have to try and break this, and then look, you still have this. Okay, so guys, don't push with this arm here. This is giving me everything I want. So you wanna have some rules of thumb like that, some best practices that will guide our practice on the mat, right? There are things that you should and shouldn't do that are, you know, a bad idea. So that's, if you're on bottom, pushing with this arm, I don't know any positives from it. I do a lot of positives when I do this arm though. Okay, so that's something to think about. Now, here's the next one. Okay, give me a second, please. So we don't get in. Yeah, you're already good. Good job. Go back under my head though. Yeah. And he's like, we're doing knee on belly. Why would I? You don't come to knee on belly from here. All right? If you do that, this thing I'm about to show is what's going to happen. So this is another prevention. If somebody has you in head, arm, side mount, which we cover in this class, we cover escapes, some of the takedowns we get to here, but there's no good attacks from here. That's one of the tragedies of the position. My guy has to move his arm here if he wants to be really effective. Now, yeah, he could be mean to me with your shoulder. Oh, yeah, that's terrible. Oh, no, guess what? Well, that's been happening to me my whole jiu-jitsu life. I feel comfortable with that, right? Not to say that somebody can't, like, really make it suck for me, but this is something to consider, okay? Now, I'm bridging and putting a little weight into his arm that's under my head to delay him pulling it out. So he's going to pop up to knee on belly from here. Go ahead and start doing that. And I'm going to roll this over here. Boom. It's an upa. And once I've got my upa, I've set up a nice attack on this arm with an arm lock or a north-south Kimura. Like the same two techniques we saw in last class and we'll see in a future side control class in this program. Okay, so go ahead, arm side now. Guys, I always tell people this is not a technique to the side as much as it is to the corners. Sometimes I will do this when I push their head down and I'll roll them this way, okay? And then this one I'm showing today is more over this top corner. Turn a little bit more this way. Okay, so this is lateral. We're thinking he's gonna go he's gonna land here. So people think, oh, we're going to the side. It's more up over the shoulder. And then I'm doing this, okay? So go ahead and pop up and go knee on belly. I'm basing and I'm rolling, okay? Here. Once I'm here, there's my Kimura from last class, or I could be looking for an arm bar, okay? So that is your prevention. And, you know, be particular about what shoulder you go over with that when it matters. So on these next two, we don't just need to prevent. Like prevention in any escape is such a great approach, right? Like that's just like having a prevention is like, okay, you went back and you looked at the position after you learned some of the escapes and you realize that like, man, I could just stop these from happening. Like I could go a step further than I'd gone previously, and like really it's not further, it's before, but a step further in how you think about it. But that's great. I encourage everybody to do that. That's why we have a prevention like every 3 classes it'll come up or something, right? It's common. We want to armor our students in that way. But you can't always prevent the worst from happening. If we could, we would all be rich. There would be no tragedies in our life. And so we have to also that's why we have savings accounts and plans. It's like, okay, well, if this happens, I've got this fallback. And that's kind of, life, jiu-jitsu, right? I'm planning in the same sort of way. But then the worst happens, I need to have a plan. So if I put a knee on belly, people can tap you with that. They can hold you down, start hitting you in the face, the advanced amount, take your back, submit you from that spot. Maybe they threw you really hard and then dropped their knee on your belly. We got to be able to work from those worst case scenario conditions, okay? So Mike is gonna have me a knee on belly, and I'm gonna do what we call an outside hip shovel. And I use outside hip shovels in a lot of spots, but this, I'm gonna be grabbing my leg, okay? This one, guys, makes the partner sit down. Put me in knee on belly. Yes, okay, so here. What the mistake people make is they turn too much, and then Micah can just start taking my back. Yeah, he's gift wrapping me and stuff. So I just want to turn a little bit, right? And then you see this hand. My elbow is gonna really transfer weight into his hip. So when I pull this way, my elbow is connecting and pushing in that way. So a lot of times when you feel like you should double up and push people back with both forces, it's actually going in opposite directions. So as I drag myself this way, I'm gonna connect to his hip, and that's gonna push him that way. Okay, and it makes him sit down. Again. And see, I'm coming up and this knee is in, but I'm reaching here and coming up into this cross side control. From here, I can go right back into some of our attacks we've been talking about. One of which we will see an escape for today, the north side Kimura. Anytime you have a north side Kimura, you have a far side armbar. Okay, so that is our outside hip shovel. It's all about connecting weight to their hip as you pull out from under. That weight to their hip, it pushes them back a little bit. It more just kind of creates a little void, like they had all their weight under you. You slide out, they sit down in that space. And my elbow keeps them there so they can't follow me, okay? So that's some ways to think about that. Now, let's work on this north-south Kimura escape real quick, okay? So what I want with this, I'm gonna let you do this, so lay on your side. Here. Okay, so when I lean up, turn a little bit more. I pull out, I pull up, and I put this behind his back. Okay, it's connected to my chest, and then that's my finish. You might also see some times where the person has like this sort of a finish. Boom. Transferring to that with the lock on, so I let it go, it can come on tight quick. But when I have this, reach out with your foot. Yes, dig it into the mat. Good. Now, you're gonna slide your hips forward and think about, you're not bridging with this. Keep your hips sliding on the mat, and you're gonna put your shoulder on the mat. So this is the same hip shovel we did last escape. Pull yourself forward. Yes. Nice. And then come up. Oh, and look. Put me in on that. Come on. All right. And then look. Here. So, this is fine. A lot of times I'll put that over your arm. Go ahead and put that over my arm. Right? In the sense like your shin over my arm. But really, like anything, they'll control it. And I put the knee all the way down. Yes. Yes. Terrible. Now you're kind of strangling me with your hamstring. Watch. Boom. See how it's a little flow drill. Grab your lapel, forward hip shovel. Yes. One more. North side Kimura. Hip shovel. North side Kimura. Right? Good job. So look, knee elbow prevention. You bring your knee to your elbow, your hip escape. If they're moving from head arm side mount, it's a bad idea. You roll them over. Simple. It's like a little Kimura action. And don't go sideways, they go sideways. You're thinking about bottom and top corner for that technique to work for you. And then we saw hip shovel in two contexts. A later phase knee on belly escape and a Kimura escape. So as we saw north-south Kimura last class. And here's another thing to think about for self-defense. We live in the age of information where, people like Micah, he's in his younger 20s. He's probably not remembered a time vividly where there was no mixed martial arts on TV. It's on SportsCenter every day. It's in every living room, right? So the free pay-per-views, like I remember when that was like, it was on Spike TV sometimes, particularly like Sunday afternoon, they'll do a marathon of this, whatever. But it started so small. And then it grew to where somebody that like I graduated high school with starts training 10 years later and they have an idea of the positions, of the submissions, and they don't have all the components and information, but that person's learning time was not as slow as somebody that I would have seen come in 10 years ago. So guys, it's something like for submission escapes, a lot of people debate, should we do the submission escapes with the beginners? Or is somebody on the street really gonna put them in a north-south Kimura? Maybe, I don't know, man. People watching MMA, let's say that person already has good instincts and a bad attitude. We got to think about those people too, right? Like best case scenario is you're just an untrained imbecile and you're attacking me because you had a bad day and I defend myself and you don't have hepatitis, you didn't scratch or bite me. But these are all best case scenarios. I bet you do get scratched, right? And that's the sort of things that we want to be able to contend with. Okay? What if somebody does bust out a submission on you? Are you going to be like, you're not supposed to know a submission? What if they did 2 years of jiu-jitsu at any gym in the United States? There's so many of them. I know so many gym owners, right? We got to think about those other people. They're the smaller in number, but they are a variable, okay? So there's some perspectives on your self-defense. Always working that every class, and good review of our takedowns and escapes and strikes today. Right on.